What's up, everybody? It's Mr. Second Passport. Today, we're going to get a preview of the 2021 election going down tomorrow, February 7 here in Ecuador. And there are, unlike a lot of countries, maybe like the US, there's a ton of candidates, more than I can name. But there's two main guys that are going for it, and that is Guillermo Lasso and this guy Andres Arauz. So let's get into it. Let's just try to cover some facts. I don't like to get too political on this channel because I'm not political at all, really. I just look at it as to how it affects me. Let's look at Lasso. This is the guy. This is the right wing, you could say, candidate who basically came from nothing in Ecuador. Had rather poor parents, didn't finish college. He helped start one of the biggest banks in Ecuador, Banco de Guayaquil, and manage it, and he's still a part owner of it. So now he's pretty wealthy guy, and he really came from nothing. And he's been the governor of the Guayas province, and he's been in politics for like the last 8 or so years, since about 2012. He's ran for president twice already and lost twice already, and now he's coming back again. Third time a charm, maybe not. But let's take a look, right? So he's the right wing candidate, and he said something that I haven't heard any politician say in a long time. He wants to balance the budget. He wants to spend only what the government brings in here in Ecuador, and he doesn't want to go further into debt, and he wants to pay off the debt that we have. He wants to respect that foreign debt we have and pay it off. He wants to eliminate things that his predecessors have put on the country, like eliminate the foreign exit tax of capital of 5%. Like for now, if you buy a house in Ecuador and then you sell it and then you bring the money out of Ecuador, you're hit with an instant 5% tax by the bank itself, who's transferring the money. Like the money's just gone. See you later. And he said he wants to get rid of that. He also said he wants to keep the dollar. This is a big point every time elections come along. Ecuador's been on the U.S. dollar since the year 2000, and everybody pretty much loves the dollar for the most part. It's kept inflation almost at zero. When a country literally can't print more money, you'd be surprised how small inflation really is. And he wants to eliminate foreign barriers to foreign investment. Maybe turn Ecuador into like another progressive type of Chile down here in South America. And he wants to do all this without raising taxes. ASMR, he's not very charismatic. He's getting up there in age. He's 65. He's already ran and lost twice. So people have kind of heard his story already. And he kind of represents for everyone, especially just by the way he looks. You can tell even by his whiter skin color, the haves, right? And I can tell you, living here in Ecuador, there's a lot more have-nots than haves. So I don't know if that's going to work for him or against him in this coming election. But now let's take a look at his competition. His main competitor is this guy Andres Arauz. If he looks young, it's because he is. He's only 35 years old. He's already been the president of the Central Bank of Ecuador, right? And also the minister of these other ministries in Ecuador. The Ecuadorian government has formed all these millions of ministries, especially under this guy, the previous president, Rafael Correa, who left office 5 years ago. And he just created all these ministries to kind of create jobs, in my opinion. I don't know what they do. And he was president of one of those. I don't even, it's not even important. But anyway, this guy Arauz, let's take a look. I listened to hours and hours of his interviews in preparation for this video, and I can tell you he's really good at just talking around questions and not really answering anything. So he's kind of a guy who's hard to get a grip on it and exactly what he wants to do. But things that I have heard him say in these interviews that you can freely view online or in YouTube if you Google him, but it is in Spanish, is he's a huge Rafael Correa supporter who was an ex-president of Ecuador who left office 5 years ago. He was in for 10 years, right? There are 5 year terms in Ecuador, and huge Correa supporter. And Correa literally was actually going to run with him in this election, and he couldn't because he's literally wanted for an 8 year prison term for corruption during his time as president. And what Arauz will probably do if elected is he will pardon Correa, almost definitely. And when he was directly asked that in this one interview I watched, he really danced around it and said, "Well, I won't have to pardon him because I'll let the judicial process do its thing and clear his name, naturally." But he never said that he would or would not, and I have a feeling he would, right? And that would definitely open the door for Correa's return to Ecuador and possibly get into his inner circle somehow. He wants to. He's also said, specifically mentioned, that he wants to like expropriate almost a lot of Ecuador money that's in foreign accounts abroad and bring it back to Ecuador, so it kind of helps prop up the Ecuador economy and stuff. And he's like, for instance, he's even said that he wants to give $1,000 to a million families in Ecuador. I don't know if that's gonna happen. Uh, Pretty crazy. He also said he wants more government control of the Ecuador central bank. So it sounds to me like he kind of wants to use the central bank like a little piggy bank, slush fund for the government. He wants, like Correa, to raise taxes for the wealthy. And rumors I could not find in this is what people have told me on the street here in Ecuador, but I haven't been able to find where Rouse has actually said this, and in other cases he's even denied it. But he said he possibly would want Ecuador to come off the U.S. dollar and create Ecuador's own currency again, which would probably be a big mistake. Just because Ecuador is so corrupt through and through, and the institutions, it's like a kid with a whole basket of Halloween candy. You can't really just give it to them; they're gonna go crazy. My point is, I just don't think Ecuador could handle its own currency, but the U.S. dollar kind of keeps everybody honest, and I think most Ecuadorians kind of understand that too, and they like the U.S. dollar. It's very popular. So I don't know, even if he got in and wanted to do that, I don't know if he could. But he also has been rumored to want to seize unused lands, especially big ones, and just kind of give them off to the locals and let them try to produce the lands, you know, stuff like this. But in order to really understand what Arauz wants to do, because we don't have a lot of information on him really, is to understand who he supports and loves, and that's this guy Rafael Correa, who was the previous president of Ecuador. As you can see, Correa was tight with the left, in that there was a leftist insurgence in Latin America over the last several years. It's kind of died down over the last 5 years, but it was really coming up about 15 years ago with Hugo Chavez in Venezuela, and that Fernandez in Argentina, and Evo Morales in Bolivia, and the list goes on and on. And he was kind of tight with all those characters, right? And the thing about Rafael Correa was he was just super, super charismatic, and down here, people really love that. Between the two, Arauz is definitely more charismatic than um, than this Lasso guy, but he's still not anywhere near Rafael Correa, And Correa really tried to run a government in the Chavez or Evo Morales or Fidel Castro kind of socialist line. I don't know if he took it that far. I was living here during a portion of his reign, you could say, and I didn't feel it as a businessman here. I felt the capitalism as good as normal, in all honesty. And Correa did try to stick it to foreign debt holders of Ecuador, like the IMF, and try to not pay them. He put the exit tax of the 5% on capital leaving Ecuador. That's still in effect as of today. And he built out a lot of infrastructure. Anyone will tell you who was here 5, 10 years ago. He just finished out all kind of roads, new bridges like the one on the coast in Bahia, and he really got a lot of projects done. But the reason for that might have been because when you do projects, you can get kickbacks and make more money on the side, and that was probably a big motivation maybe for his government in order to do these projects. But anyway, he also raised taxes. Who knows? He also raised taxes for the rich in a lot of ways. He fought for workers' rights and got them. A big plus of his time as president. For 10 years that ended 5 years ago. When our current president Lenin Moreno got elected. So anyway, for instance, before Correa became in office, no one even ever hired and affiliated anyone to the Social Security system here in Ecuador. It was all through third-party talent agencies and these type of things and these employment offices. These employment offices would hire people, and then the companies would come along and hire the workers through this third party to kind of avoid having to affiliate them and then liquidate them when you fire them, which is pay them like a lump sum payment when you let them go. So, he really fought for the workers' rights and got them. And now it's he made it super strict that you really have to affiliate anyone that's working for you, even someone that's part time, or you could get in big trouble, get fines, stuff like that, and you have to pay, or the Social Security system will also fine you. Um, so just something to keep in mind. And he also instituted things like a monthly base income for poor families in Ecuador of like $50 a month for 1.3 million families. He also did things like the Minduvi, which you may have heard of on the coast, especially, or just give away these little box-looking houses free to supposedly poor people on the coast of Ecuador. But I can tell you that a lot of people that got those houses already had houses, and they just turned around and rented those to even poorer people. So those are the situations I know personally. He doubled the minimum wage, over a 10-year span from 170 a month to almost 400 a month by the time he left office. He attacked the media, not in his favor, which kind of seems like the thing to do with politicians these days. But he really attacked them with lawsuits and really made him afraid to say anything against him. He was an anti-imperialist when it came to his foreign policy. Like he abolished the U.S. military base in Manta, which helped a lot with fighting the drug trade. Saying, yeah, we'll consider putting the base back when the U.S. lets Ecuador put a military base in Miami. He'd make these comments like this. He also gave asylum to guys like Julian Assange, who the U.S. was clearly against. He put draconian capital gains taxes on the books that are now eliminated by our current president, Lenin Moreno. It was just crazy to think the kind of tax that he put on capital gains for like the sales of real estate and how that would have just killed everything. But he put it on kind of late in his term, and then the first thing that Lenin Moreno did was eliminate that. And he also he's been persecuted since leaving for corruption after his term, and he currently has an open 8-year prison sentence on the books. I wanted to get a little sum up of these two candidates, Andres Arauz and this guy Lasso. And they have to get the majority of the vote, the vast majority, or there's a second runoff in between the two highest vote getters in April. So anyway, that's it. I'm Mr. Second Passport. Take care.